The 2020 has been a very difficult year for a lot of people the world over, but particularly for you, it's been a much more traumatic one, I suppose. Between 2019 and 2020, you've had to endure a lot and go through a lot. How has the journey been? How has it been? I mean, and taking yourself out of all of these entanglements here and there, accusations here and there, and all.
I'm a man. These things are meant to come so that they toughen you. They are meant to come so you can also draw closer to your maker. They are meant to come so they test your resilience and all that. And so I know what you're talking about. I mean, the people's orchestrations just for a certain agenda. And I was the main target. But it is fine. I think we have been able to put matters behind us. I have been reinstated by my university. I've started working, and I do not intend to dignify what was done against me. I've forgiven. People have actually come to me to apologize. I don't want to mention names, but those who were really behind it, they've reached out to me, and I'm a Christian. I do not want to give the discussion of...
So it was a deliberate attempt to do what to you? To destroy your reputation, to sabotage you?
Well, maybe you may have to... I can tell you off camera, but the point is, I do not want to dignify what was done against me. By the grace of God, I wasn't silenced. By the grace of God, I didn't die.
So then the agenda was to silence you?
Well, maybe I wouldn't know, but I mean, from all indications, some people would have laughed that, well, don't talk again and all that. But you see, my wife tells me I talk even when I sleep, and so not until I die, I'll not stop talking.
That's interesting. But I mean, I can imagine, particularly for your working relationship with a lot of these international partners, sometimes it's a pretty big deal. They consider these things very, very seriously. I remember the Me Too movement and all of the things that happened elsewhere, and its impact on some actors, So for you in this sphere and with the kind of work you do, how did this impact on your professional life?
Well, I mean, to show courtesy and respect to them, I mean, something has been said about you. You have to be investigated, and you have to go through a certain process to be sure whether you are guilty or you're not guilty. And so I had to reach out to them to tell them that, look, I want to file this. And so let's put all relationships on hold and let's clear matters before. There were some who insisted that no, continue. But then I managed to convince them that let us get things over and done with. Afterwards, we can continue. So, I mean, some listened, some were disappointed and all that. And so I think it's a matter of principle. I felt that I had to go through a certain process, and to be able to get the real focus to go through it, I needed to put everything on hold. And so I did that, and by the grace of God, I went through it, and then we are out, and so that is it.
Great. I'm actually happy to see you, and you seem to be doing very, very well. You know.
I've never been. Nothing has happened to me.
It didn't move you at all. It didn't.
I mean, why should I've been? Those who tried it, I teach them. Okay, the tricks in trying to silence and gag people. We teach those things.
Yeah, master of the game.
We teach politicking. And so they couldn't, I mean, I don't know how those behind it felt. But the point is, I knew I had not done anything. And I didn't know how I was going to be so much affected. Of course, our family. And you have people who admire you. You have people who look up to you. I have my parents, you know, who are alive. And they would be affected, and so the fact that it affected other people affected me, but not the.
So for instance, let's look at your wife. When news broke, what was her first question to you? What did she ask you?
She said she knew I wouldn't do that, and that it was God's own doing of drawing me much closer to Himself. So
your wife never doubted you?
No. She said God wants you to get closer to Him, and yes, I was a Christian. I was a Christian, but I wasn't that much serious.
I see.
But
I see.
After some of these things, I mean, there are certain things you cannot even understand why somebody could sit down and plan some of these things against you. And so if you don't understand, you give it to God and get more closer to him, because he's been our source of protection. I am Ransford Gyampo not because I'm smart.
I've been seeing your status and how you've been singing a lot of gospel hymns here and there.
It's not because I'm smart, not because people taught me, and those who taught me, they are alive and all that. So it's not because of anything. It's just because God has given me some grace, and so that is it. So it was a time to rethink our relationship with our Maker and to get closer to him, and to ask for pardon if we erred in any way and all that, and to decide to be on the path that he wants us to be and all that. So we are still swimming in the grace of God.
A number of people have defended you, lecturers, students, journalists, reporters. A lot of people have defended you, even politicians. The same people, some say, may have been behind this. Some have come out to defend you, to say, hey, you know what, for all you know, it wasn't even as it's being portrayed. Maybe there's some context which justifies it.
Well, everything that happened, I mean, the video you saw, everything was taken out of context. We, at the various investigative processes, we asked for the full video to be shown. They
never
didn't.
came.
We asked for those who, those behind it to show up to be cross-examined. They didn't show up and all that. I mean, I do not want to dignify what was done against me. I mean, I don't want us to talk so much about it, because me, myself, I am an attention person. So I don't want to draw more attention to myself. I think there are pressing issues of national importance that we have to talk about.